Kanye West. He's into wearing that preppy stuff at the time. These are straight up illegal. So I'm reaching out to everybody like, you want to make some free money? Just got to set an eBay account up.
He gets out of prison next week. Yeah.
He got out of prison a couple years ago. Because when you're young, you're dumb. The money's coming quick. And I end up doing eBay. But my mom denies me in terms of creating the account under a name. So I acquire my mother's credit card. Or her credentials, I should say.
Right.
Remember, you have to be 18, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I find this seller on there in New Mexico. And he sells me the silver Figaro chain. It was popular at the time. Now it's a Cuban link. I buy one off him. My sisters are like, what the like, Daniel, these things are turning green.
Right.
And this guy's got like incredible feedback.
Right.
Like on eBay, you have feedback, right? To measure like
whether your stuff's good or not. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And I mean, that could be skewed, right? Yeah. Something I learned a long time ago is that like the stat is something like 70% of people that post a review
right
is going to be negative.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That's just stats. You're not going to go out of your way because you had a pleasant experience at the McDonald's on 79th Street.
Right.
Right. So I hit him up, say, hey, listen, you know, something's wrong with your merchandise. I need a refund. This is like a 50-something plus Native American man on the res in New Mexico. So he plays me, right?
Right.
He plays me. He says, well, you know, maybe it didn't fit correctly. How old are you again? I go, well, I'm 5'10". And I'm like 12, whatever. I'm like, well, I'm 5'10", and you know, it should not like snap. The other one snapped off, and I'm not fat. Like, it's your product. And he said, yeah, I'll take care of it. I got you, man. Like real nice, like an Indian scammer. I got you, friend.
Right.
Hey, friend. You know. So great deal for you, friend. So I basically say, man, your shit is bunk. Like you ripped me off. He reports me after getting out of me that I'm 11 years old or 12 years old.
Okay.
So he reports me. I get my first account ever on eBay banned. So I'm looking online and I'm like, I want to sell the product on eBay, just like the Native American, but I don't want to rip 11-year-olds off and get them kicked off. I'm gonna do something that people want, right? So 9th grade, I find a wholesale forum. Mm-hmm. So on the wholesale forum, you had legitimate businessmen and women that anything from somebody that owns the kiosk in a mall, you know, and multiple other businesses to somebody that's like, hey, man, like I'll send you a message if you're interested in getting these knockoff Ralph Lauren polos. Right. And it was a man I met in Thailand. And he said, I had these authentic Lacoste polos. Best quality, A++. I could only put together enough to get like 25 pieces. A piece is one of these.
Yeah.
That's what we used to call them. So I get him in from Thailand, and you know, they were terrible. They were so bad. It was so bad because like I think everybody, I didn't even mean a hustler, but any like business person has got a product where they're like, I got to sell it, take the L, take the loss, take it on the chin, but I got to get it off though.
Yeah.
Somehow. Right? Like, I'm not going to just burn it. You know, like, I spent the money. I may break even. I may liquidate, whatever. But me, Matt, I was like, this is the best polo you ever seen. Let me show you. You know, I'm showing family, friends, my sisters. Everybody is clowning me. You know, just making fun of it. I'm like, but I bet I'll sell them though. So I actually convinced my mother to open another eBay account.
Right.
So, because now I'm going legit. I'm not buying fake jewelry anymore. So I get into selling on that account. And as I mentioned, I'm going to sell these things.
Right.
Everybody's making fun of them that sees them in person. I was getting middleman, got them for 18. Try to sell them for like 35.
Right.
But I'm looking at the market actively on eBay at like what's selling, what colorways, like everything. And so I end up selling and getting off that 25 pack, and some bad reviews, but there's always a way to, put in the bad feedback. Well, listen, I always offer 100% guarantee, this and that, This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. It didn't fit him. That's a size issue, right? That's not on me. So I'm like, this isn't it. This isn't the connect I need.
Right.
So I'm in the wholesale forum. Mind you, I'm on Skype at a young age. I've always had this deep voice.
Right.
So I go in there and I'm on audio. So I don't think I had a webcam back then. If I did, I wouldn't be on it though.
Right.
Right? They'll see I'm a kid.
Yeah.
So I go ahead and just start networking with all these people, these adults. And they all think that I'm like 21. That's what I say I am. And I'm kind of weeding out like the people that actually have the direct connections in different countries to buy polos. So those were Lacoste. I did buy Ralph Lauren from somebody that actually, Ralph Lauren polos, that actually had a contract with the manufacturer to develop them.
Okay.
To manufacture them.
So they were real.
Sometimes I could get real, but it was called gray market on the forum because you're not allowed to sell outside of the authorized channel.
Yeah.
So they're supposed to sell it to somebody that has a contract.
Right, but there's the same people that manufacture the shirts that stay in that channel. They're just manufacturing an extra 40 shirts and selling them on the side. So they're the same shirts. Like the shirt doesn't know that it left the chain of command or the chain of custody.
Right, exactly. Later on, we did, and I'll get into that in a moment. But yeah, exactly. We used to call them overprints. So, they would just write off 30 shirts, say that they weren't up to the quality that Ralph Lauren wanted.
Right.
And I would buy those, and I'm doing well with that because at the time, things started to really blow up in terms of those brands, specifically Ralph Lauren and Lacoste.
Right.
Because rappers were wearing them. It was very popular because of that. So I'm in these chats and I'm finding multiple suppliers, really just working my way up, and I have that guy that can get me the Ralph Lauren because he's got the contract. And I'm doing that for a little bit. The money is good, but it turned out to be saturated with that brand. Mm-hmm. So I say, let me switch to Lacoste. And that's what I first started with. So I find somebody that is in India and they also have a factory. But these are straight up like illegal. Like these are completely bootleg.
Right.
Like he doesn't have a contract to produce. He's just doing it. Massive scale. So I'm buying from him. And I realized a lot of people on that forum and eBay, while I'm looking and studying, what's selling, what is bringing the highest dollar value, and it was Lacoste polos.
Right.
So I actually work with that guy for a little bit. And then I say, all right, let me find somebody else. I meet somebody else. I believe he was in Chennai.
Why find somebody else?
Because the person in India, the quality again just really wasn't there.
Okay.
It was better. It made the other ones look like, a little kid made them.
Right. But they still weren't as close as you wanted to the real thing.
Exactly. And I used that money I made off of that lot of 25 of the bullshit polos to get to talking to this other supplier that was in India as well. But start talking to him on Skype, let me start small, this and that. And I start selling those polos from him. And I just continually just sold more. And I'm timing the auctions at this point, like if I put something up at the time, to end at 3 p.m. Eastern, right, it would fetch like 50% less, as opposed to like a end date of the auction being after 6 p.m. EST. right? So I'm looking at these things, I'm timing it, I'm looking at the verbiage people are using, in their descriptions. I'm setting up my auctions. I'm taking photos of my polos in the grass, in the sun, like
Right.
really, this is through the first Indian supplier. And they do a lot better, this product. But then I find this other person.
And you're saying that you're saying on eBay, you're hitting like this is a real this is the real deal.
100% authentic.
Okay.
Always.
What? Okay.
Always. But the competition was doing the same.
Right.
And I found out they were being supplied by my same suppliers. So I'm like, I got to have a competitive edge, right? I need the best quality I can get. So I'm Skyping this other dude in India that owned the factory. And I got a sample, small order, maybe like 10, just to test the quality. It was beautiful. They were great quality. And they retail at $69.50 at the time. So we had the legitimate poly bags that he would make with Lacoste on it. We would have really, the tags, say $69.50. The RN numbers matched up, which is like, the manufacturer tag, right? So they look legit.
Right.
So I'm doing this for a while. I'm doing very well with this person. This is about 9th grade, 10th grade. I'm playing sports, but I'm still, running this eBay business and doing that. So I'm making a lot of money doing that. I continue to do it 10th grade. They get kicked off a couple times for non-authentic items.
Right.
But I always found a way with, different resources.
Right.
To basically make sure that I was able to keep growing and doing it. And my relationship was going very well with this supplier. So anywho, I get too busy though. So it's just too much for me. So about 04, actually it was 05, I bring in Sean, my best friend to this day.
Right.
One of them. But I bring Sean on and I say, hey, listen, man, I'm getting too many polos to my parents' house. You're getting 100 at a time from the second supplier that has the best quality. And he told me, at the time it was like $15.50 a shirt. But as I developed that rapport and he saw the consistency,
right,
and I'm paying with whatever method he wanted, because I'm accepting back then money orders. That was my bread and butter.
Right.
Because you're paying, I found out about flat rate boxes. That was a brand new thing. So shipping and handling, quote unquote, everybody overcharged on. It's making a shitload of money just on that. But then I figure out the flat rate boxes, where if I could fit 5 polos in there for the price of one, and then charge them $25 to $30 for the shipping and handling, where it really only cost me, I think, $385 for the flat rate box. So I'm doing that, I'm making a lot of money like that. I'm climbing up, I'm saving my money every time. I get 100, I'm selling them, taking the profit, and just reinvesting. Because there's some days that, there was a monsoon in southern India at the time, where he was shipping from and his facility, where they had monsoons, and we would use like DHL, like all these foreign couriers. And, it may get held up by customs. It may get held up by the monsoon. And he sent me photos, said, this is why your shipment's late. Because the whole shipping courier trucks are all underwater right now.
Right.
I'm like, I hope you're not trying to scam me, but I've been working with you now for a couple of years. So I get too busy is what happened. I had to scale. And that's when I brought in one of my most trusted friends. And I had Sean receiving the product at his house because I couldn't fit it. My bedroom that I was in, I built my own computer from scratch from Tiger Direct. I don't think they exist anymore, but from scratch, like 9th grade. And I'm just, my bedroom is like connected to my sister's. You have to walk through it. So like literally, if you go into this day, like you would have to duck a little bit Very small room. All my friends to this day call it the attic, but that was my bedroom. How many polos can you fit? You know what I mean? When you're getting 200 at a time now, that's stacked to the ceiling of that little bedroom that I was living in. So anywho, I get better pricing from him because he's like, man, listen, I will front you another 200. I know you're good for it. And I'm like, I got you. Because I've always felt that if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Like I told you I was going to come here about 2 weeks ago. And, I thought a couple times, I didn't hear back about a confirmation. I'm going to still set my schedule. So I'm going to be here. I always commit to what I do. And I did that with him. And so he was very comfortable with me. And he'd been doing it since like the 70s. This producer and supplier. And he's fronting me, I'm buying 200, and then he's fronting me another 200. And he knows me and he knows how I'm moving, right? The velocity, like he sees it. So then I start selling lots. And I'm like, why not supply and keep elevating and start selling to the people that are resellers as well? Then I get banned again because a competitor that was on the wholesale forum was buying from my supplier.
Right.
So I get on Skype, I hit the supplier up, say, hey, listen, man, I keep getting these negative complaints. What's up with that? Do you happen to know a guy, Trendy Buys? He also went by Trinity Distributing. He was out of upstate New York or Ohio. He may have done both. But yeah, thanks for that one. But he was snitching on me.
Right.
So I hit the supplier up, say, hey, who's giving me problems? I'm doing good business. I'm selling lots of like 50 at a time, making good money, and that shipping and handling quote unquote money is free money.
Right.
So whatever, make another account. I mean, I've been banned so many times. Make another account. And then that's when I say to my buddy, Sean, say, hey, listen, I'm going to be going to college summer of 05. So in 05, which is when we graduated high school, that year, I taught him everything. I taught him how to have it shipped to his house from our supplier. And at this time, I'd pay for 200, I'd get 300. Or he'd offer me 200 and 200 on the front. But I don't like owing people.
Right.
I'm that type of dude. I'd done it with the 100 and 100 on the front. And I was like, I don't know, man. So I'm a very generous person. I try to be at least. And especially in this scenario, I tell my buddy, I say, hey, listen, if I can teach you how to do the logistics and how to receive it, I can introduce you to my supplier. And I'll give you a 50% split down the line. And all the capital fronted is on me. I'm paying for it all. Like out of pocket for every order. And then the profit, we're splitting 50-50.
Right.
So I was very generous. As I grow older, I learned, should have been less, but I'm looking out, right? I want us all to eat.
Right.
So
are you doing anything at this point? Other than you've set up the business and you're putting up the capital, right?
Yeah, I'm doing things. Okay. I'm selling.
Okay, well, I thought you were going to college and leaving him to do all that.
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Right.
I'm glad you asked. Yeah, so I was already doing fantastic with it on my own.
Right.
But I'm like, I'm going to be in a dorm room, super small. How am I going to have these loads coming in?
Right, but he's still going to use your capital.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so I quarterbacked everything on my own and with the supplier and said, hey, listen, I vouch for him. And he being here today with us right now, telling the story.
Right.
If he could make it. But anywho, I'm doing very well. And I have Sean working that for me. I teach him how to, look for the best allocations that we could request. Because we have that rapport with the supplier.
Right.
It's usually like, you get 100 polos. The colors could be 30 pink, 5 this color. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Random. But I had such rapport with him. I would be like, Kanye is coming out at the time right now. And he's into wearing that preppy stuff at the time, Kanye West. So, and other artists too. But I'm like telling him, there's another item I need, and it's the one with the stripes. And that's what the rappers were wearing.
Right.
So I had him make those for me off a prototype that I had sent to him. And pictures, all that. He gets on video with me, the supplier that had the best quality I'm talking about, the latest one.
Yeah.
And he shows me, he says, what colorways do you want? And I give him, like, boom, everything that's popular right now in the media, et cetera, rappers, because I know these are the poppin' ones. These are going to be the money makers, right? So I do that, and I'm selling those, and then I take Sean on. I teach him how to receive the product, how to go through it. He's got the intro call for me, and that most recent supplier that I mentioned, he's Skyping him on his own, right? Remitting money to him, to India, on his own. So his mother was a secretary, so at a law firm, very prestigious law firm. They actually even took on Anna Nicole Smith's case, and my buddy's mother was able to get him a job, because he wasn't going to go to college, to get him a job as a passing out the mail at the firm. So there's another person that we knew named Pablo, which was a great guy, but he was a gay Colombian Black Panther from New York City.
All right.
But he will f you up.
Right.
He's hardcore. So, but he became our buddy. You know, he's an older cat, at the time, obviously still. So Sean is watching him. They're becoming friends at the law firm, and he sees an area that he can go to ship the products and bill it to clients. So now we have free shipping, completely profit, because Sean is having it done for free and billing the shipping fees to
The law firm.
the law firm's clients.
Right.
Yeah. So we're doing that, and he's getting shipments of 300 at a time, sometimes 400 of the good ones, the best ones that we ever had, to his house. And they're in potato sacks. It's just the way that he shipped, because it was such bulk.
Okay.
Because previously, with something that's gray market, quote unquote,
Right.
or in apparel at least, you would ship, 25 in each box.
Right.
So I was getting like 8 boxes. But we grew to the point where I guess he switched the shipping courier because shirts would come missing. Sean had his little brother, his little do-boy, bringing the potato sacks in from the driveway when they're delivered, counting out, writing it down in Microsoft Word, because I love Excel now, but I didn't then. I wish I did. But I'm manually putting it together in a basic Word, spreadsheet, but just in Microsoft Word. And I have Sean and his brother, I'm calling them, because by now I'm in Jacksonville going to college. And I'm overseeing everything, but I have them doing that, the logistics, the shipping of everything. And I'm just like the CEO at this point, if you really think about it. I say that to say that we're making a shitload of money off of all that.
What kind of money? Like, what are you guys making? I mean, you're kids.
Right. So a lot of money to me then, right? On my own, before the split, the 50-50, I would make, this is high school days. I'd make $1,000, or I'm sorry, a couple thousand a week net.
Right.
And that's not with the shipping and handling that I was making money off of, because I was doing the flat rate boxes. So I remember times I would make $4,000.
Right.
But then conversely, right, the next week, the shipment may have been held up by customs. So I was always reaching out to my supplier and saying, hey, listen, I'm reading the FOB. I'm reading, that's the report of where it went through the tracking,
right,
all that, right? And saying, hey, man, like, I'm short, like, 18 shirts out of 200.
Right.
I would call him on Skype and say that, and we had that trust. He'd say, that's my customs broker. It's almost Christmas time.
Right.
He wants to have something for his kids. I said, well, that's cool and all.
You can take them out of your cut.
Right.
Yeah.
But he would always send me, so let's say 18, I just said, hypothetically, he'd send me like 25,
Right.
like the next day. So, but it was inconsistent because you had busted ports, you had, treacherous seasons, in that region of the world that these bootleg ass shipping couriers that we're using, So it was a lot of that, but he always straightened everything with me because I was very loyal to him.
Right.
And he would tell me, he would say, yeah, that trendy buys, I supply them. And they told me they'd been complaining about somebody taking food off their plate on eBay. I say, well, that guy. You know what I mean? I'm young, right? But it's like drug dealers snitching each other. You know, your competition and what you should be scared of isn't law enforcement and anything illegal. It should be your competition.
Right.
That's what I learned, unfortunately. But I kept it moving. I modified the item descriptions on new accounts, eBay accounts, and to look like completely different than my typing style.
Right.
Now, I grew up watching my mother get her PhD when I was like 5 and learning how to type on a typewriter. So I've always had that technical prowess. So I know how to, say this could be perceived as completely different than anything I've ever sold because of the verbiage, the breakdown of the description, the words used, the photo styles that I'm taking. I'm not taking them in the sunlight, in the grass anymore, switch it all up. So I keep getting snitched on though by these other people. And it's annoying, man, because you make money, then, you have a PayPal tied to it. You had money orders, but those are gone now these days. But yeah, so I have Sean take it over and his brother's helping out, whatever. So there were scenarios like that, where a lot was missing, but he always made it right to us. And in doing so, I actually kept doing it with Sean for probably about a year or two. And this is when, to answer your question, after the split, we would make $6,000 each sometimes a week.
Right.
Net. And that's not even including the free shipping from his law firm.
Right.
Which is closed now, by the way, since 2008. But yeah, so we're making money here, there.
That have anything to do with you?
What?
The law firm closing? I'm just joking.
Oh, no, I think it was you. It was 2008.
Yeah.
It really was 2008, though. And that's why they closed our offices. Because of the corporate, everything that was going on.
The financial crisis.
Exactly, that you caused.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. That you caused. You're completely responsible for.
So what happened? So how long did this go on before? I mean,
us making major money?
I mean, yeah. And
when I brought Sean on.
Yeah, no, I'm saying how long? Yeah. How long did you guys do this before eventually, something like what happened?
Right. So what happened is everything was lovely, and until it's not, right? And I'm actually
were you concerned at all? I mean, you're saying your competition is snitching on you and getting your account shut down or reporting you and doing all these things, but are you at all concerned that you're selling counterfeit, apparel, and eventually that the manufacturer of that apparel might come after you? Like this is back when people were getting busted. Like, do you remember when they had CDs and guys would bootleg CDs and they would do that? And every once in a while, you'd hear these guys get busted. They were selling them at like flea markets, and suddenly the cops show up and just arrest them. And
I did a lot of that as well coming up. That was a major hustle of mine.
Right. So I'm saying, were you at all worried?
No, because when you're young, you're dumb. The money's coming quick.
Right.
Yeah, no, there was times where I had like multiple bank accounts. I'm using money frivolously after I secure my re-up money, my restock money.
What does your mom think's happening?
Our son is a fantastic entrepreneur.
Right.
He's, killing it, And at this time, I'm like, I'm not going to college, bro. I'm going to do this the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm not going to work for somebody. I'm not going to go to business class and then learn about things I already do since I was 11. You know what I mean? So there's that. But yeah, to answer the question though, Matt, what ended up happening was we had a good run, man. We did. But I have other I think to myself, so I'm doing everything that's gray market or illegal. So I'm watching styles.
There's no gray market, bro. This is all illegal.
We used to say gray market.
Gray market, right.
Gray market. So
remember, it's gray market. That's like when I would change W-2s. I'd be like, okay, it's a gray area. It's like, it's not gray area. You just changed a W-2. It's fraud. You just committed fraud. The whole loan's fraud now. Like the whole, but anyway, okay, gray market. All right. Makes you feel bad. That's fine.
So, well, that's the verbiage that we used back then, you know? So, two things I want to say. I kept it moving because I saw that other person that was buying off my supplier, that was ratting on me all the time.
Yeah.
Trendy buys. Trinity.
Is he still around?
I've looked for him.
Right.
just to be friends. Just to be friends.
I just want to have.
I'm a little guy.
I just want to have lunch with you one day.
You know what I mean? I'm a little guy, right? Yeah. Right, Matt? You know, right. I don't mean harm. I'm no hard ass, but you know, I wanted to have a talk.
Right.
You know? But anywho, so he went out of business, or he went to
change his name.
Right.
But at some point they catch up. At some point they're going to catch up with. Right. They catch up with everybody.
He did that several times.
Right.
So what I started to do was reach out to the supplier that supplied him as well.
Right.
And a lot of other people, and say, hey, listen, I'm going to send them a message. This person I see with this username that's selling what I think could be your product.
Right.
And see if I can offer them wholesale. And sometimes he say, I supply them. Like, no. And this dude was like doing this since the 70s, he told me.
Right.
And I'm a kid. He's a full ass adult, you know?
Right.
But to paint a picture on that, but I'm like, hey man, I'm not going to step on toes. I don't do that. Right. I respect your business. Your whole family's been doing this, you know? I respect it. But ABC123 account name, are you supplying them? I see that they're selling a good amount, you know, of the similar products on eBay.
Right.
He would say yes or no. There was times he said yes, and I would say, I respect that. There were times he'd say no, and I'd say, all right, I need you to add another 100 onto that 300 now, because I would start wholesaling to them.
Okay.
So I'm kind of like trying to get out of the, you know, it's like similar to, this may be corny and cheesy, but drug dealers, you know, you don't want to sell it yourself your whole life. You want to move up, and then have people working for you and wholesaling to them, right?
Right.
That's the mentality I had growing up around, you know, watching everything I mentioned, you know, all these people on TV, you know, getting roped, or some old Miami term, getting caught for, you know, selling, you know, Willie Falcone was on the news, you know, Sal, you know, all that stuff. So I just kind of really thought that I could get ahead by going behind the scenes and wholesaling to those people. And then I would do lots with only the most popular colorways that I wouldn't sell to them, because you don't want to cannibalize your own business, market, and setting, right? In general. So I'm doing that, and everything's going lovely. And, you know, we're stashing them at Sean's house. Got some at my house still, you know, my little attic bedroom, as my friends call it. And what ended up really happening is we're doing this until 06. So I would have been a sophomore in college, and I'm on campus up north in Jax. Get a call from my dad. You know, I have all my mail routed to our house in Miami.
Right.
It's like, what's going on? And I say, what are you talking about? He said, I just got this letter. I had to open it though. You know, I don't like to open your mail.
Right. Right.
But I mean, when I become a father, I'll probably do that too. But, you know, he's like, what is this? You're in a lot of trouble. I've been warning you. I'm like, you kind of liked it when I would get mom those free candles all the time, you know. Right. I mean, I wasn't spending with it like that. Sean was. He bought a bunch of, he bought a 96 SS Impala, which, are you a car guy? Like, would you know these things?
No.
It's worth a lot of money.
Okay.
You know, the car Denzel had in Training Day?
Yeah.
I believe it was a Caprice or a Cutlass. I think Caprice. He bought one of those, you know. But I'm over here the one, you know, I have the overhead. So I'm not doing these things.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm just, you know, not frugal, but I'm a big saver.
Right.
I've always been. So yeah, so what happens is we get the letter. I get one to my house in Miami, which is my address tied to my eBay and PayPal's, which I had several of each, and bank accounts, multiple of all that.
Mm-hmm.
And Sean as well. I hooked him up with that on his end. And, my dad says, he's like, it says right here, this is from the official Lacoste lawyers. And I'm standing there like on my little flip phone. It's 2006.
Yeah.
Right. Like I love college. Like I was chilling with everybody, playing sports with all the frats. So, I'm probably in between doing something like that, partying, whatever. And I get this call and I'm like, what do you mean? And he knew what I was doing, right? Yeah. My whole family did, even my extended family, right? I'm a success story, And so the letter said it had the Lacoste, how you say, like, officiated at the top?
Like a letterhead.
Letterhead, yes, thank you.
Official, yeah.
Yeah, from them. And then it said that basically that what they were doing, because keep in mind, a lot of the products that I was getting, I would also at times when I found a connection that had a contract to manufacture Hollister and Abercrombie and Fitch, because it's the same company. Mm. And he was actually a British man that sounds funny. He was British.
Right.
And his factory was in, I'm trying to remember, but it was obviously Asian country. But I was getting legit products from him, like legit gray market, man.
Right.
Because they literally were, but I just couldn't sell it anywhere but my store that I have supposedly a contract to sell and carry Abercrombie and Hollister.
Right.
So you do have, to be fair, some things that were completely legit, that I would even sell to my teachers in high school. Sean would open up the Cutlass at the mall, Friday night, polos in the back,
It sounds legit.
Like, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hey, well,
so I buy all my stuff.
So, he would walk up to people, it's like when I walked in, you gents said, like, I could talk. I won't have a problem, right?
Right.
Well, Sean, he's like me on steroids.
Right.
He may have been on steroids at the time. But anywho, so
these are sounding like conversations that were started with, psst.
What do you mean?
Psst. You like lacrosse?
Oh, you're saying when he was like hustling it?
Yeah.
No, he's loud. I have a deep, loud voice, but he's even louder and even way more ADHD. I've never been diagnosed, but let's just say I can talk and I got a deep voice. But Sean, though, he'd pull up, pop the trunk, and if it was like movie night, people coming out, certain time, whatever. And then other times he would just walk into the mall to the Lacoste store and say, hey, bro, why buy that one? Look at this one.
Right.
And bring one piece in with him and come to the car, and do things like that. So we did it all. Yeah. I had teachers buying my stuff in high school, all that. Yeah. I'm doing other hustles. I'm writing papers for people for money. I'm doing that in college. I have other hustles in addition to that. I have other jobs because I need a job history, for the future, potentially. Right. And we get the letter though. So we get the letter. My dad gets it at his house in Miami. And my dad says, Lacoste Corporate saying that, they have done undercover purchases from you.
Right.
For like all of your items.
So they had already hired a private investigator to do buys.
I was too scared to ever read the letter.
Right.
I literally didn't want to know. I was just like, all right, I'm about to go to prison.
Right. Well, I've interviewed these guys. I've interviewed a guy he's a private investigator. And that's all he does is go after counterfeit watches, counterfeit clothes, counterfeit everything. And he said what they do is they build a file, a case for the FBI, and they go to them and they're like, I've got 4 different undercover buys. I've got this. Here's where it's coming from. Here's who's doing it. Here's where they live. He does a whole thing. Tape phone conversations. Here's the merchandise. Here's how I paid them. Here's the money trail. The whole thing builds a whole kind of a dossier on this fraud that's occurring and brings it to the FBI. And then they go, okay, cool. So something like that.
Well, they did bring, I know for certain that they did send it to a lab in Arizona because they were like, we determined that like X item or brand, I should say, right, was such good quality that we couldn't even tell. Like Lacoste corporate office couldn't tell when they looked at the material and compared it to one of theirs.
Right.
They literally were like, we can't tell the difference. So we got to send it to a lab.
Says, then what are we doing here, fellas? What are we doing? I'm selling lacrosse. I could supply you.
Well, Lacoste, but Lacrosse would have been the bootleg version, right? Same thing though, right? But no, I was like, what are we doing here? You know, like everything's legit. I didn't say any of that. That's a joke. Right. I knew I was. I knew it. And then they were threatening prison time, first offense.
This is the lawyer for, how do you say it? Lacoste? Lacoste.
Yeah.
Lacoste. So Lacoste is their lawyer saying you're going to prison?
Well, I think it was a combo. Like I said, I was too scared.
Okay.
To physically have my father like send it to me.
Right.
I was just like, you know? And then Sean calls me and says, hey man, I just got this letter and it's saying all the same thing. You know, I think it was like first offense, if we didn't cooperate, was going to be, I believe it was 2 to 3 years in prison.
Yeah, this
federal, because it's a federal case.
Yeah, this sounds like a Target letter.
No, this is legit.
No.
Oh, what do you mean by target?
Like, Target letter is legit. A Target letter is what the FBI sends out, where they lay out what they believe is happening, and then they say, then they basically ask you to come in and start cooperating now.
Yeah,
like don't make us come get you.
Yeah, don't make us file information.
Right.
Don't make us, criminal complaint.
Yeah,
that's what happened.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but they piggyback though.
Right.
All these people because the IRS jumped on.
Okay.
Then all of a sudden, I'm like, how do I have?
You got a letter from the IRS?
I've been audited by them a million times.
Right.
Letters. I mean, yeah.
So
and then they drain my bank accounts to negatives. They drain Sean's. I'm like, thank God I got this money order money that I've been saving onto for years. You know, that I cashed.
Right. So your dad says you're in trouble. What do you guys do? Do you say, hey, well, then I need to go get a lawyer, or I need to? What do you do? Right.
Here's the major problem. So what they said is they had been monitoring our sales and they listed out they sent like a lot of material after this, maybe as a follow-up, like additional scare to cooperate. Right. And so it said, $69.50 retail on the tag that's attached to this same shirt.
Yeah.
There's $79.50 now, but irrelevant. But we see that you've sold X amount of these over the period of since 2006, starting in 2001,
right?
And we see that you've been on different usernames. You've been, they tracked it all,
right?
And so what they said is this: they said there's a fine that's imposed with the sentence guidelines. Well, we didn't even get to that, so you can't say guidelines, but the sentence they threatened, right, for the feds, first offense, me and him. And, they said, but in addition to that, there's a restitution, nothing about.
Yeah.
But there's a restitution of, 500,000 plus,
right,
starting, as it goes in any case, right?
Okay.
Well, I mean, for violating laws XYZ.
Yeah. No, I understand restitution. I understand. Yeah. Not everybody gets a $500,000 restitution, but anyway.
No, I'm sorry, fine. The word I'm looking for is fine.
Okay.
It was a fine.
All right.
Thank you for correcting me. So there's that. And then we didn't get even into the fact that they talked about later. They said, I tell my dad, put it away. We'll take care of it. The letter.
Right.
So then there's some further communication because Sean works at the law firm. They want to charge, I'd say me, but it was us at this point because of his involvement with shipping and everything and his name, all that. Every retail value, the retail value on every polo you sold since like 2000. This is like 6 years. It's like thousands of polos.
Right.
It's a lot. You're gonna owe the company.
What did that come to? I mean, did they give you a number? Or did they just tell you we're adding them up?
Too scared to look at the data.
Right.
I thought game over.
Okay.
And that's it. It was a lot though.
Yeah.
It would have. I mean, if I had to quantify, bro, like it would have been up there, maybe even close to that five. Well, yeah, 6950 multiplied by thousands. Do the math. I'm terrible at math, but you know, you can do that mentally. You know,
I don't do it mentally. If it's 3,000, that's $210,000.
At 6950 a piece.
That's $70 a piece.
Okay,
Same thing.
so a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a chunk of money.
A lot of money. And what we ended up doing is I hit Sean up. I said, hey, listen.
You got that?
Don't say shit. No, he called.
You good? Are you good for that, Sean?
He called me.
Yeah.
And said,
You've been saving, right?
He couldn't save. Yeah. Not a saver. I call him or he calls me, Sean. After the phone call, my father, he's freaking out. Right. He's telling me that, hey, I got this letter. This is what it says, bro. You know, telling me. And I'm like, that's exactly what my father just got. He's like, all right, we got to give him up. We got to give him up. We got to give X person up, our
Right.
supplier.
You didn't say, Sean, don't worry about that letter. I'm going to take care of everything, and then go straight to the FBI and rat out Sean, because that's the way to do it. I mean,
Honestly, in retrospect, like
Yeah, Sean.
if I wanted to play that would have been something I could have done.
these guys, Sean, we're going to go gangster on them. I'm going to take care of them. I'm getting an attorney. I'll let you know in a week. A week later, you call them up with a wire and say, yeah. So, guy, boy, listen, though, Sean, you put this thing together really well. Blame everything on
He's the
him.
kingpin.
Right.
I never was.
Right, I know. Like, I can't believe the way you did this, bro. Like, you really got it put together, and you've been
On the wire,
Are you
yeah.
still shipping? Oh, no, I had stopped shipping. Oh man, good. It's good idea.
Here's X's new email
Right.
address. Hit him up, bro. You know, he'll give you a better price than ever, by the way. Right. So, anywho, yeah, I was scared shitless. He's scared shitless. He's telling me, he's like, I'm going. You know, he's all ADHD. He's like, that. I'm going to the law office, and I'm gonna give him up.
Right.
So I talked to the supplier, and I Skype him,
Right.
and he never was on video. This guy's smart,
Right.
Like, bro, he'd been doing this, like I said, since the 70s. So, and like at the top of all this stuff, right? He was no petty hustler like I was initially, because
Right.
I did grow to making good money, real good money, and Sean too because of me. But anyway, yeah. So Sean's like, I'm telling. I'm like, if you tell, like, he knows my home address. He knows your home address. Dude's been doing this since the 70s.
Yeah, bro.
You really think that
Indians will have you? Indians will come and kidnap you.
I don't
They
know,
will
though.
not. They're
I don't
Indians.
know.
They can't get if they could get. They can't even get out of India.
He can.
They've got waves knocking them out every 4 or 5 years. A wave comes through and wipes out half the country.
And my polos.
And your polos.
Yeah, my polos.
If they could leave that country, they would.
No, he did travel a lot overseas and domestically here.
Okay.
He actually did. But I'm thinking to myself, right? I'm like, you know what? Let me at least.
You see these two kids
Let 'em
walking
know.
around their polos and screaming.
Oh, no,
with
they were-
bicycles yelling at each other, screaming. He's like, "Oh my God, what are we gonna do?" It's like this is counterfeiting, bro. Like,
No, when we got the letters, he's in Miami. I'm in Jax in college.
bro, I understand. I'm just saying the movie version is you two
I'm not-
squealing. You're 12 years old, screaming at each other that they're gonna come and kidnap your entire family and kill you. Your dad's acting like this is the end of the world. But the truth is, it's not that big of a deal.
Well, I don't know, man.
How much time did you do?
So
Okay.
So we'll get to it. So I hit up the supplier and I say, hey, listen, we got these notices, me and Sean. They're right now at this point in time, Sean has known him for years now, on his own,
Right.
because I facilitated the relationship.
Yeah.
They both trust each other, and me vice versa. So I say, hey, listen, this is what we got. Like, IRS jumped on it now. Like, I'm getting all around. What do? They want me to give my supplier Otherwise, I'm going to have to do some time and I'm going to have not restitution, but I'm going to have a fine.
Right.
And then there's all these other things too, there was other things that they added to it, but those are the most noteworthy, right? And he says, hey, listen, the supplier, he says, they think that remember I was buying from China before.
Yeah.
The shitty ones and Thailand.
Yeah.
But the real shitty ones were from China and Thailand. But he says to me on Skype, he says, hey, listen, Danny, they think that they're all coming from China. Like, so here's what we're going to do. You need to convince your friend not to give me up, tell anything about the operation, like between you or me and what I've been doing. Like, I'm going to change my phone number soon, my Skype number. I'm going to change my email. But when it blows over, I'll reach back out. I say, how are you going to do that? Right? Like, you can't make this magically disappear. Right?
He's Indian, bro. He knows things.
You could get me killed. So, but you never know, though. You really don't. But anyway, I mean, dude's been doing it 30 years. Major money. He's making hella money. But anyway, I say that to say this, that, I basically tell that supplier, I got into Sean's ear. He's not doing anything. Like, he's not going to cooperate. So he says, perfect. Like, this guy's sitting there like, thinking that he's a mastermind behind all this.
I can hear the Indian music in the background.
Hey, nothing wrong with adjusting to.
What's really funny is he thinks he's dealing with two 35, 40-year-old men, and he's
exactly.
He's like a couple 17-year-olds.
17, 18, then 19.
Right.
Yeah. But exactly though, right? I'm on the phone like, hey, so and so. Yeah, I'd like to make another order though, but I don't want to get fronted again. But you know what I mean? I'm playing it up, my deep voice. I got to pick up the wifey later, Right. I never had a girlfriend, until I was like 18,
right.
So
he's threatening to kidnap his sisters, and he's ready to sacrifice his sisters. Take them.
He's the Indian Liam Neeson. We don't know. Right? So anyway, I convinced Sean. I'm like, we're going to take care of this with so-and-so. And he says, here's this business card. I'm going to email it to you. This email is not going to be active tomorrow. I'm deactivating, and it's probably on a VPN going through a million different channels in the world. You know what I mean? Because he's selling a lot of product and manufacturing a lot of product, not just Lacoste, a lot of brands and products, legitimate or not. But anyway, so that's what happened is he said to me, here's the business card. And I look at it and it's like in Guangdong, China. And I'm like, you don't do anything with China? Like, to any degree. I always knew that about this guy. So I'm like, what is this business card? He said, what you're going to do is bring that to a lawyer and Lacoste corporate as well, and provide that to them and say that this is your supplier. And it had like all the information, the email, the owner's name, right? And I'm like, so have you ever seen the TV show Breaking Bad? Okay. So basically what happens in a certain season, there was a character named Badger who got arrested selling meth for Jesse, right? The main character, Pinkman. And then it was Badger, his underling. He gets arrested. So one of Walter White's guys, hires this guy to come in and take the fall. Meets him at a bus stop, purposely with a bag of meth. Badger gets up, walks away. They walk up. Are you Badger? Arrest him. So it's very similar to that, how we maneuvered and manipulated the situation, because that's essentially what happened. He sent us this information on a manufacturing facility in China that he knew for a fact had only like t-shirts,
right? Like
unbranded. You know what I mean? Like, and they kept thinking everything was coming from China. And at the time it was, except for people like me.
Right.
But so that's what happened. And I sent it to him. Sean gets a lawyer. His mother is still working at the law firm. So is he. And he gets his mother to convince one of their top lawyers. I mean, they're all top lawyers. But convinces one of them to take the case for us pro bono, and write Lacoste corporate back, say these were the suppliers. These are just some, good teenagers that got involved with the wrong crowd, type scenario.
Right.
It's like what she's telling this lawyer. Please, I've worked here for 25 years under you. Mm-hmm. Just secretary,
Yeah.
And my son works here. We don't want all these things to happen. So he basically says, well, listen, holy shit, like to Sean, my partner, holy shit, like you guys were doing all this? Like, wow, impressive. Like, okay. And Sean's like, yeah, well, what are we going to do to get out of it though?
Right.
Right. And he goes, well, you gave me this business card. What is this? Sean says everything I just said.
Right.
It's our supplier, et cetera, et cetera. So the guy ends up taking us pro bono and reaches out to Lacoste corporate. And when he's doing that, I'm just scared shitless still. So, what the guy did was convince them that we're cooperating and, that they could drain all of our accounts and take all the money. And we're going to lock up this major supplier, right. In China.
Evil Chinese
so they raided
manufacturer.
Right.
Who raids them? The Chinese version of the FBI?
Not sure. That supplier reached out to me on a brand new email about a week later, maybe 2 weeks later.
The Indian guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
He reached out and he told me. He's like, hey, this email's safe now,
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, that's like somebody getting out of prison and being like, hey, I want to sell you something illegal the next day. No.
Yeah.
You're hot. I don't want to deal with you. You know what I mean? So it was like that. So I said, okay, cool. He's like, yeah, everything worked out though, right? I'm like, yeah. You're fine. Nothing to worry about, So yeah, so that's how we beat it is that lawyer going pro bono and going to bat for us. And, that's really what happened. And there was actually a time after that though, speaking about eBay, I go back to other hustles. Right.
Well, I mean, what happened? So they dropped the whole thing. You never heard it. You never heard from it again. They said, okay, they're good with the manufacturer. They raided the place. Nothing ever happened.
They found their quote unquote
they
big
got,
dog, big fish, because that person's making the actual product,
right?
That he's working off of and sewing these on.
Okay,
is what they think.
Yeah.
That's not what he ever did.
Right.
But that's the story.
Maybe he did.
No, I know because I've seen Chinese and how they do it. What they will do though is back in the day is they would take like this unbranded and then ship it to. There was somebody that I used to work with that got arrested and raided in Raleigh, North Carolina. Take a wild guess where he's from.
You just said Raleigh, North Carolina.
Where the person's from before they moved and got a stash house there. India.
Okay.
So, anywho, I never.
So they mail the stuff there, and the guy's already got the little labels, and he irons them on or something.
He's got a crew,
right? Of Indians. It's like an
presumably, I'm not sure.
Indian sweatshop inside of Raleigh, North Carolina. They got, they're sewing back there, and they never leave the house.
But yeah, people would do that though.
Yeah.
They would bring it overseas and then, because, if you got a bag of boxes full of.
Well, those coming over without the labels, perfectly legal.
Correct.
Right? So then they get here and then he irons them on.
Yeah, it's a loophole.
I don't know about ironing. I'm just joking.
I don't know how they do it. Well, it's embroidered actually.
They probably sew them on. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the authentic ones or the gray marker ones.
Yeah. I think they're fine. They're the same thing. Same factory.
No, I mean, sometimes it was, sometimes it wasn't. But yeah, we ended up beating that. And I was super spooked still.
So you didn't go back to the Indian guy and say, start shipping them again?
Yes and no.
Right. Okay.
So as a 19, 20-year-old in college, I was like, I'm working, as I mentioned earlier, I'm working like every job. I can go into so many jobs I've worked,
right.
While attending classes and running this mini empire, however you want to cook it, right?
Right.
This operation. And, we're banned again. My PayPal's banned again. Everything. So what I would do is I still had stuff at Sean's
Right.
product. Because, what are we going to do? He's not going to hop right back on eBay and sell it and then get another letter, right? So I wait like 6 months, probably around like 6 months. And again, I'm about 20, maybe 21. And I have samples that I would hold in my dorm room or on campus housing at that time as a sophomore. And Sean had a shitload of products still at his house. So I'm thinking we're going to get raided, but it never happened. I'm waiting for the call from Sean, the next one, right? Like, what the fuck, man? Like, they just kicked down my door, my sister's room is getting raided, like when they did the bust at my parents' house, but that never happened. And so what I did was I found people friends of mine that I could trust not to run off with my money. But I drove back down to Miami, picked up a good amount of polos, the stripe ones that were popular from Kanye and Pharrell.
Right.
It was like a blue stripe and white, the ones I had custom done prototypes with my biggest supplier. And, I picked them up, brought them back to campus, and 6 hours drive north, right back, loaded my little car up, and brought them. And I was trying to sell them on campus. I put little, when you see like Lost Dog take I made those with like photos of them, put it by the mailboxes in the dorms. Everybody laughed at me. All right. Everybody was like, I'm like, but I'm making serious money though. And you guys don't know that, But nobody bit. I wait a little bit, right? And I'm finding people to make eBay accounts for me.
Right.
But I'm like, I can't have it on my computer that I've logged in on eBay before because of IP addresses.
Right.
So I'm like, we got to do this on your computer. It's perfectly legal, bro. Perfectly legal. I'll give you 50%. And in the money, I'm fronting it once again, right? So I did that with one friend, and we made good money. I mean, I started small. Again,
he gets out of prison next week. No.
he got out of prison a couple years ago.
Not for this.
He did 7 years because he robbed in Houston. Hey, we should have him on here. But he shout out Dougie Fresh. He actually robbed a drug pharmacy, like the distributor center.
Yeah.
Where they like wholesale.
Yeah, where they're the ones that they get the stuff and they distribute it to like all the Walgreens or whatever. Yeah,
he found the biggest one and then ran in there, guns drawn, and caught a really big charge over that. And then did actually that was another friend. He was supposed to do I think 7, but he served like 4 first timer.
Okay.
Programs while he was in, stuff like that.
Okay.
So
you had him set up the account.
I had him set up the account on his computer.
Right.
And it's like, I just want to oversee it. I just want to watch you fresh. I want to see while you do it, teach you how to write it out, and, change the descriptions, your typing style or mine that I'm providing him. So anyway, what happens is, banned. Like we would sell like, I started small again. I would sell like 10 of those Lacoste stripe polos again that Kanye and Pharrell are wearing on tour right now. So they're popping. They're very popular. So I'm like, I can squeeze the juice out of this still. There's still money there, So I have Doug doing that on his account. I sell like 10 polos, it's good money. I mean, it's nothing. But I'm saying it's good profit still, 2 years later after us getting roped. And, then he gets banned after our like 3rd sale.
Really?
And I'm like, shit. And then I'm like, all right, go to your PayPal real quick, and let's go ahead and just split that 50-50 real quick. Take it. PayPal account is frozen.
Right.
Because of me. Because of my involvement. So having said that, then I say to another friend, I'm like, hey, listen, I got a great opportunity, free money for you. So I'm just going through my Rolodex. Right. And I had a lot of friends, like I mentioned earlier in college, like all groups. So I'm reaching out to everybody like, you want to make some free money? Just got to set an eBay account up. Let me get on your computer and write it up, And it's literally free money because I'm funding the product and paying for it.
Until the government, until eBay takes
that person out.
Yeah.
And they did.
Right.
Yeah. So they took my other boy out. Yeah.
So
and
you're
he's
running
like,
out of friends.
Nah,
Yeah.
I had a lot.
Yeah. Not for long.
Well, no, they got over it.
All right.
I made it right. I took care of them. But, so then I had another friend I tried this with, and I waited like 6 months this time.
Right.
Same shit happens again. I'm like, all right, I'm just not poised for success in this game anymore.
Right.
I beat the case, and all of that. But it was that pro bono lawyer that really
helped you out.
That really did that. Yeah. And I mean, there's just so much that I could talk about like within these years that, I just think I was always money motivated, and it taught me how to run my own business.
Right.
Because I was a business major, me and my best friend, and he was doing his own hustles, and we were in business class together, and we lived together for years. Like my brother, rest in peace. He's not with us anymore. But I'm, what am I learning in business school? Everything I'm doing. In my mind.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure there's an ethics issue here as far as business is concerned. But I hear you.
Not in my opinion.
No, I'm sure.
At least not at 18 years old, 17, 16, 15, 14, up to 23. Yeah.
Lacoste feels differently, I'm sure. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely they do. Yeah. But no, we really, that's how we got out of it. And that's why he equated to that scenario with Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Because like we cooperated, but we didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and plus I felt like, and I think you could empathize, that even if I were to cooperate, I'm still going to get in some fashion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I don't trust these people.
Right.
Like, they don't care about me. I'm a first time offender at 18, 19, threatening me with all this shit, So I was like, even if I did cooperate, I bet I'll still do like, a year in the feds and, drain my bank accounts like they did right after. I had like 6 to 8 bank accounts, man. And then the money orders and all the cash I would move around. Like it really was beautiful. But I learned so much though, going back to the business class thing. Me and my best friend said that we left and we walked out, and I was doing my thing with what we're saying. He was doing something else, and we were both like, man, like this is boring. This is boring. We're trying to make money. We are making money. So I persevered. After about like the 4th, maybe 5th, maybe 6th person I got banned on eBay.
Right. Not
including like growing up though. Like where I would like be on a friend's computer. One of my best friend's family, I got banned twice.
Right.
On their AOL account.
How many banned accounts do you think you have total?
Collectively?
Yeah.
Including the ones that were used in other people's credentials completely?
Yes.
It's a good question. Never thought about it. Say like we have like 5 to 6 people that in this scenario. If we're going sequentially here, then before that we had like 3 or 4 accounts that we made Sean.
Right.
Separate times. Then you had me, my mom's. I got my sister banned one time. I got my other friend's family banned from eBay and AOL because I was using the stolen, the L case, stuff. Yeah, probably, I don't know, 15.
Right.
I mean, I am pretty sure that, I'm scared. Like nowadays, what you can do, and a lot of friends give me shit for this, is because like I'm really into shoes, clothing my whole life, right? But, to get like rare shoes or whatever, they're often on eBay. But you can sign in now as a guest. You used to have a name, but now you can sign in as a guest and buy that item. I'm scared to do that even.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, because what happens if I buy that and they see Daniel Smith, my government somewhere, somehow, all my bank accounts are going to be drained again to the negatives. Like, it was bad, man. Like, so I still to this day won't even do that. I won't touch PayPal. Never again. And PayPal owns other things now too. I forget what the newer ones are. But money remains.
Right.
Programs and applications and but I'm scared to use anything associated with that. And no, I remember after college, right, when I went home, with all these shut off eBay accounts and stuff, right? I interview with because I get my degree. I do a lot of stuff in between that was very similar to this, but we'll talk about that next time I come on.
Okay.
And e-commerce company. They are a Super Bowl sponsor. I think the last Super Bowl. So they're big.
Right.
But when I graduated in 2010 with my bachelor's, they brought me in for an interview. And what did I have on my resume? eBay.
Right.
98 to 08, right? With all the things I did, but, in a legitimate...
It sounded more legit. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was.
Yeah.
I mean, but... was it though? Sometimes, sometimes not, Here it was, here a little bit. But no, and I did an interview with them, right? And I thought this would be noteworthy.
Right.
Because I did an interview, I beat the cases, all that. I got rid of the majority of that product that I had left. After getting everybody banned. But I drive back to Miami, moved back. And that's where they see my resume with eBay on it. And I had shown it to my older sisters and family, friends that know my story. And they're like, what the are you doing with eBay on your resume, Danny? Like, that's ridiculous. Like, take that off. And I was like, nah. It's going to be good,
Yeah.
I've never had a real corporate job. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm like, no, I'll keep it on. It's good. So I actually get an interview. And e-commerce company, like I said, they kill it. Like they've grown like exponentially.
So did you get the job?
No, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
So they said to me, they said, hey, listen, tell me about your experience. You're a recent graduate. We're looking for that. This was in 2010. So we're still in a recession.
Right.
And jobs are very bleak. And especially in Florida, because I was looking everywhere. But this was in a different location that they grew out of because they grew so tremendously to another location, and now they're in like their fourth. I mean, they rhyme with I can put it in. Okay. I'll leave it alone.
Anyway.
I'll leave it alone.
Okay.
So to answer the question, no, they said, okay, tell us about what you did. I told them, and they're very intrigued. I told them about my leadership, my cultivation of or culmination of all these products that I've sold. I paint a good story, right? I'm a talker, so I do well. And then they go, one last thing though. So remember the L cases and I cases?
Yeah.
Lowercase. One of my first names ever, I'm 11.
Right.
Preface was lack of effort. So they said, what was your eBay name? Lack of effort.
Right.
And so what eBay does, I've learned over the years, is that they'll delete, like, if you're inactive for X amount of time, let's say 6 months or a year, it just won't show anything. But I still had a trail, from when I was doing that on that name.
Right.
So they go, okay, hold on. They look it up. And like, it says that you're not on eBay. I'm like, well, did you try capital I,
right,
ACKOFEFFORT? Because I picked that name knowing I could case it.
Right.
You know what I mean? To like trick the next person. If I got banned, my brand recognition would still be there. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because it appears like it's the same username, but it's not. So I'm like, oh, maybe I misspelled it, Try IACK instead of LACK for lack of effort. And they say, all right, well, something to the effect of, You know, we don't see anything on that name either. We see some sales, but you know, we see a lot of negative comments and things like that. And I tried to explain that what I mentioned earlier, you know, marketing studies show that 70% of people that are going to post a review is going to be negative.
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't a fan of that approach.
No.
And it was for $10 an hour.
Right.
With a degree required in the field. Mm-hmm. And I'm over here this star in my opinion.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, I went through all that stuff. I did some shady stuff, yeah. Did I hurt anybody? No. I took care of a lot of people in that time, you know, and I think I always did the right thing. Then after that, I dove into the workforce and just climbed up doing different things. And yeah, you know, I started to say this earlier, that a lot of people have told me, you know, that I should always write a book or a movie or something. I mean, you did War Dogs or you have a connection.
Right. There's yeah.
Yeah. So I play basketball to this day at Ennis Park.
Uh-huh.
Do you remember the movie where they go to buy the weed?
Yeah.
So that's literally like they're sitting on a table, a wooden table.
Yeah.
When they go down and they get served the bud. So I play basketball at that park.
Okay.
Like to this day, I grew up playing there.
Nice.
So that's entertaining on the note of War Dogs, right? But yeah, going back to it though, I mean, that I think that would be really cool to get a story.
Well, you should then write a book.
It's something I've been considering for a long time.
Well, that's great. You can do that till you die.
Anybody,
you know, once
right,
you start,
yeah.
you know, if you write a page a day, you're done in a few months. Hey, you guys, I appreciate you watching. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe button if you like the video. Hit the bell, share the video. Also, please consider joining our Patreon. There's a whole chunk of content in this interview that we'll be putting on Patreon. Also, check the description. We're going to leave an email so you can get in touch with Danny. Thank you so much. See ya.